Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Coco and I am back for the highly anticipated Panels Women Who Connect Part 2. I am so sorry for the wait, but I promise it was worth it. These women are talking about such amazing and relevant topics in this next part, as they did in the first part. But on part 2, we talk about joy and happiness and the difference between the two. We talk about relationships that we have with people who live outside of our generation, and if those relationships are positive or negative. We talk about men, what we expect of them, and also what we would like them to know as women. You get 15 perspectives on all 3 of these topics. So I'm so excited for you to check it out. And without further ado, Panels, Women Who Connect, Part 2. What experiences do you have with those outside your generation, whether older or younger? And is the general relationship positive or negative?
I have both like professional and personal experience with that.
I am a high school teacher.
My experience has always been positive because my mother was intentional about having a village.
I spent a lot of time with my grandma, a lot of time with her and her friends, and just like sitting and just like listening and just kind of like absorbing everything that their experiences.
We are so traditional in so many ways that they are not at first quite difficult, but the more and more I teach them, the more and more I really try to understand them. It's actually been quite delightful to kind of meet in the middle. So that's kind of been my experience. I would say in the nutshell, it's a positive experience.
And I have younger cousins or my goddaughter, use myself as a bridge to like what's being poured into me and being able to pour into them.
For those who don't know, my mother is Miss Beasley at the bottom with all that beautiful hair. Or I don't know where she is on your screen, but she's on my bottom. I would rather hang with a woman with wisdom rather than my own age group. I just love soaking up all the wisdom and love that women before me have given me. And with that, it has made me want to pass that down to generations under me. I'm very intentional about being a mentor.
I find myself having a little difficulty because I was raised very proper growing up, ma'am, sir, shaking hands, doing that kind of thing. As when I do it at work, they're like, girl, no, like we're coworkers, like we chit chat. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am an adult. You know what I mean? So realizing where I stand, especially in the work field. So I would say it's more neutral. Again, I'm still like learning because I still do the man thing, and they like, do not call me that, girl. We are girlfriends. We can go get drinks now. And I'm like, really? Y'all want to get drinks with me? Wow. I would say, trying to find that balance of where I fit in with that.
I've actually had a pretty diverse experience with the generation before me, the generation that I'm a part of, and the generation above me. When I transitioned from a public school to a private school, my vocabulary changed drastically. But once I transitioned into a private school, my friends and my group of people that I surrounded myself with, I guess giving me negative feedback because of the way in which I was speaking, or I guess presenting myself in such an eloquent manner. And to me, it was almost as if it was teasing, because I decided to, absorb a part of myself that I found joy in that everybody else kind of really didn't like, or kind of didn't really find interest in. You don't have to be a part of the crowd. You can set yourself apart from everybody else. So I guess that would be like the negative side. But the positive side for me is just being able to have, like, some of the ladies said earlier, have that wisdom and have that knowledge to be able to accumulate from people that are older than me, because I feel like I'm an old soul. I love like 70s and 60s music. I love listening to the OJs and Enchanted. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, it's having an old soul, but still being able to understand people of my generation and those, that came after me is very important.
My experiences have been very positive. Project managing a lot of the young women that start, or men, mostly women that come into the field. Some in my age group have a fear of them taking their job because you're younger, you're quicker, etc. I find it when I meet young women that are open, because if you're open, I'm willing to be there to teach. A lot of times there are younger women who have been labeled within the office. And then when we encounter one another and they have this openness, things just change. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And the next thing I know, I'm hearing someone call me Mama B or Work Mama. And I'm like, oh, wow. But I think it comes because there is a respect that I have as your elder to you as my young sister that I see coming up. And out of respect for you, then I want to make sure I'm there to teach you. And while I'm teaching, I'm also learning from you, because I would have never known what LBVS meant without you young people to tell me, okay? And not just that, there's so much that we can learn from each other as women. Because as someone said, your experience may not really, Cynthia, what is LBS? I know it's laughing, but very serious. It's those things.
And I had actually other questions that surround that question. That's important to take responsibility to be that person that sits right in the middle to be able to bridge that gap so that we can all coexist and thrive as people anyway. And also, you guys have all been mentioning mentorship and how important it is to be a mentor, have a mentor, or be available to be a mentor. Like Shanette was saying, being open to the opportunity to connect. And I think that right there is the key. And it seems like everybody's pretty much got that idea. So the questions that I had were pretty much answered. Is you genuinely happy? What makes you genuinely happy?
Just seeing other people happy, that makes me happy. So I know it's kind of like cliche, it's really simple, but I really mean that. When I choreograph, I am trying to create a story or a visual or a lesson or something that people can walk away with at the end of the piece, whether it's something that's very deep and sentimental, or something that's light. When I see my vision of a piece carried out through the dancers that have learned it, that makes me happy.
And for me, I would have to say more recently, I've just fully committed and accepted what God is calling me to do. I battled with it for so long, and it's like, once I made that commitment and I stood up and I took a step forward, like right now, God is just all in through my life, and he's just showing up. And it's just like, I'm so filled up, to where my cup is overflowing onto other people. And I'm hosting this journal series right now, and I have 45 people participating. And the way that the transformations and the healing and I could just cry right now, because like it's already been said, like we are all connected to each other's. So once I stood up, the next person was able to stand up for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So that's what joy feels like. And it's just, I'm just so excited, and I'm gaining just a lot of momentum. And I just feel that God is literally just like right here cheering me on. So that's a wonderful feeling.
Montia said, when God's vision comes into fruition through me, that is when she is the happiest. And Aaliyah said, so proud of you, Queen. Brianna said, that's beautiful. And Dinah said, happiness is temporal and based on circumstance. Joy is a state of being. You can have joy in the midst of trial. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Being a witness to God's creation, the nature just amazes me. And it's like God created this, and the gifts that he has installed into people makes me happy, and seeing them prosper and seeing them succeed, it's just like, that's so amazing. It makes me smile, makes me so happy. And also just the arts too, of course. That's what makes me happy, seeing that people can, express through movement, or express through a pen and express through their voice, and just God's creation, period.
I'm happy just watching all of you all, and just the young ladies. Oh my God, you guys don't understand how fulfilling that is. I'm just happy at this point that I can wake up every day. I'm happy when I'm teaching dance and I see people and I push them to their best, and they're getting it and they're feeling it and they're experiencing it. So I get happy when I teach. I also get happy when I'm in Florida in the condo, and I bring others there and they share the same experience, just watching them enjoying themselves. And so that's what makes me happy.
We have a African American book club. It's ladies from like age like 24 to like 30. We were reading a book last month by Sarah Jakes, Don't Settle for Safe, and we got on the topic of joy and happiness and how we find joy in our lives. Pastor Darius Daniels, and he was talking about how a lot of us settle for happiness instead of joy. And like someone said earlier, you're like, joy is really just a state of being. And I really think that's how we should really live our lives. But I find joy the most in seeing other people around me happy, and really being able to take a load off of them, and more so kind of just feeling a sense of peace. My grandma lives with us and she's 84 and she's disabled and has dementia and everything else. But it's just nice to be able to sometimes take that load off my mom and get up early, and sometimes maybe, cook breakfast or wash up my granny, and see my mom able to, be able to take a moment, take a breath, and do something that she probably doesn't get the chance to do because I'm not here during the week or different things like that. So kind of seeing other people really being able to take time for themselves, take time to grow, seeing people happy and everyone kind of just living from a place of peace and in a place of peace is really what I find joy in the most.
How often do you consider your happiness personally?
I haven't really thought about my happiness as much as I should, but lately I really have been protecting my peace. And I don't know if that is the same thing as being happy, but I've been really conscious about what people bring into my space, because I'm a minister, and so I do a lot of ministry, and a lot of people bring a lot of stuff right into my space. And so it was unnerving me, and it was making me unhappy, and I was going to bed and thinking about other people's problems and couldn't pray. And so I realized that there are spaces and times in my life where I have to shut off, that are just for me, that I can't continue to pour from an empty cup. And so I protect my mornings and I protect my evenings. And I had a friend that was calling me at like 6:30 in the morning with all of her issues before I could even like get the crust out of my eyes. And that would bring me so down. So anyway, I think about my happiness now more, and I execute that by protecting the spaces in my life so that I can be a whole person before I begin to give out of everything that I have.
Last year, I kind of started the same thing. Like in the morning time, like I do not answer any text messages before I walk out the door. Like I get up in the morning, I pray, I do my devotions, I go to the bathroom, and then it's like, okay, if something like my phone keeps going off, once I get those things, once I pray and do that type of stuff where I feel like I'm grounded and now I can walk into my day. That's kind of how I found the most peace and joy in my life. If I can't fall asleep, I have to go to the Bible app, or I have to pull out a book, or I have to journal. Like I've had to kind of change just everything in my life, just kind of be more intentional about how I spend my time.
It seems that a lot of us, because I did it myself earlier, make our joy and happiness synonymous with peace. And I think that that's something to just take a second and reflect on. I like that you guys have kind of put them in the same category, because if I can be at peace, then I can find a space to even think about happiness. And if I can even become happy for a minute, then I can probably find the joy, or however you guys come to that conclusion. What does it mean to you to be a woman, and then an obstacle that you faced in being a woman? What is something that you faced?
I'm still creating what that is for me. now I think the biggest thing that I've learned thus far, kind of being like more gentle with myself, and learning that being gentle doesn't mean that you're weak. It's just showing that you're giving yourself the space to be human, understanding that I'm just I'm a being, I'm a soul in this body, and I'm like, I don't know, and I'm just figuring it out as I go. Also holding myself accountable with what it is that I'm feeding my spirit, so I know that I'm also walking in the right way that I'm supposed to be.
Breaking outside of what society bounds us in. If we know who we are, then there's no one who can tell us who we are. So it is up to us to define what that is. And it's okay if it means that you consider yourself more of a feminine woman or more of a, I guess, masculine woman, or whatever the case may be. However you consider yourself a woman is true, because you are that. What would you like men to understand about women, if anything at all?
What I want men to know is that we would love to follow you. There are so many things that the men were just raised incorrectly, and so they grew up doing women so wrong. So not everybody, and because of that, we have had to grow. We've had to do us, or do the doggone thing by default. I can only follow you if you're in front of me. If I am doing this, and you're standing by complaining or putting me down or diminishing me and not doing what you need to do to keep ahead of me, I keep ending up passing you because I gotta do the doggone thing in order to stay ahead of the game by myself.
What I would like to say to all of you, and what I would like to say just in general, is we give respect when it is given, we give love when it is given, and we can give the world if it is given. Reciprocity is very, very important. It's that hyper-masculine complex that gets them all the time. It's very important for us as, specifically Black women, to encourage and uplift our Black men, but also set that standard, that we will give you respect. We have no problem giving you what, is common things that you want, but you have to be willing to give that to me in return.
Montia said Gloria with the tweets. And then Chloe said, yeah, sis. Okay. And then Amber said, I often find moments where I naturally just pick up the slack where it's lacking. It's not what we don't want them. It's not that we don't want them to lead or give them the opportunity to lead. But if you aren't aligned properly, then it's a no for me. Same, sis.
For me professionally, what I want to say to men is stop not looking at us as equal. Like, don't tell me like, oh, she's just passionate or she's emotional. Like, you are as well. You just express it differently. So don't be like, oh, woe is me. Like, no, if anything, I'm right here with you. We on the same playing field. So I think that as far as professionally, that's what I would want to tell men, like, put respect on my name. Personally, or in other relationships, watching Model Homes from TD Jakes' sermon, him and Sarita, they did a 3-part. I haven't seen the quarantine one, but he did a Model Homes for people in relationships and marriage, and I found that to be very helpful. We forget that men and women think differently, and how they grew up. They had, like, we were playing with Barbie dolls, they were playing with action figures. So their whole setup from childhood was different from ours. A man wants respect, and I'm willing to give that respect, but I want you to respect yourself and have drive in yourself. I cannot put drive in you to do what you want to do. I can pray for you, anoint you. I can sit there with you and get your plan together, but I can't make you take the steps. Don't be, a lot of men struggle with this word, but intimidated by the fact that I'm moving and you're not moving. It's not because I don't want you to. It's just the simple fact that you're not wanting it for yourself. So what I would say to men is believe in yourself and trust that a woman, a Black woman, will support you. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm gonna hit mute.
Well, I hope you enjoyed Panels Women Who Connect Part 2. And up next, I do have a little preview of what we'll be discussing on the last episode of Panels Women Who Connect. It's the 3rd part, and I think you guys are gonna like this one, so check it out.
It's the 3 of us, God, John, and Sarinthia, and we do our marriage the way we do our marriage. We don't need anyone's approval because God is in the middle of what we do, and we love and trust each other.
Problems will come, issues will come, they will manifest regardless if you want them to or not. But it is about the way that you handle that baggage and about the way that you carry that baggage that's important. A lot of people really don't realize that the baggage, so to speak, that people carry are the experiences that made them into the person that they are and will also aid them into being better versions of themselves later on in the future.
And that was part 2 of Panels Women Who Connect. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. I was able to get so much insight and wisdom from these conversations with these women, and a lot of different perspectives on topics that I think about often, and I know some of you think about quite often. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you were able to share it with someone else, I greatly appreciate that because I want to spread all this love that I was getting. And part 3 will be coming soon. If you didn't check out part 1, please do so, but I promise I won't make you wait so long for part 3. Again, my name is Coco with Chatterbox Podcast and the Vanguard United LLC. If you're watching this in the morning, good morning. If you're watching this at night, good night. Bye.